This is LearnMedia.tv, and you're welcome to this edition of Room 52. And our email for all your questions and comments is info@learnmedia.tv. And I'm delighted to have in the studio today, remotely speaking, Mr. Jamin O'Donovan. Welcome, Jamin.
Thank you very much, Pat. Delighted to be here remotely in the studio.
Delighted to have you. And I know this chap now since you was wearing nappies, lads, but I'm not going to tell you any secrets about him. Now, Jamin, you're based in London at the moment. You're living in London, I'd rather say, is it?
Yeah, I've been in London now for just under 5 years.
Right.
I moved over here 2015.
Now, we're here on the occasion of your solo launch in the music industry, but we go back a bit first. You've been involved in music, probably you've been around music all your life with your dad and his friends and, the whole lot. And you yourself got involved, in my opinion, in one of the most progressive groups called Fred. And how did that come about?
Well, Fred, like as you said, I was involved in music. Yeah, I've always been around music. My father was an accomplished guitar player. His father was a trumpet player. So there was always music in the house growing up. We were always taken to concerts. Like my dad brought me to the first concert when I was 5, up to Bruce Springsteen. And from then on, like we were always going to shows. And then he always wanted us to play music. And I think I took up the guitar when I was around 14. So he started to teach me all the stuff that he liked to play. And I was interested in Nirvana and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and those things. So it's always like sitting at home, playing the guitar, figuring things out. And then, I was in some random bands throughout school, or band friends. And then when I was 23, I had been I knew this band, Fred. I knew them. I knew the guitar player. And when he was 16, he had set up this kind of a band when he was in school called Fred the Purple-Haired Ninja.
Yes.
So this guy called Jamie and his 2 friends had this band, and they had recorded a few songs. Then Jamie went off, took a year off, and went away for a year to this little island called Saint Helena. And when he came back, the bass player had recruited all these other people to be in this band. So Jamie, who had set this band up, had come back to Cork to find there was now like 4 other people in his band. And, so they had recruited a piano player, another drummer. So they had 2 drummers, a singer, maybe there was another guitar player for a bit. And they thought that Fred the Purple-Haired Ninja was too long a name. So they shortened it down to Fred. So that was the beginning of Fred. So that band was going for they made 1 album.
Yeah.
They were going to make a 2nd album, and the bass player decided that he wanted to leave. So I got a call from Jamie one night to ask if I would like to join the band as a bass player.
Okay.
So I said 100%, definitely want to be the bass player in this band.
Yeah.
So all I needed to do now was figure out how to play the bass and get a bass. So that was the beginning of Fred for me.
One finger, was it on the bass? One finger play? All right,
no, well, to be honest, I couldn't play the bass. But I had seen videos and I saw that it looked cool if people had 2 fingers. So I thought, I'm going to figure out how to do that. But this was no problem, Pat, because I remember years beforehand in the other band that I was in Limerick, I really liked the band and they said they needed a conga player. So I told them I was the best conga player
they'll ever see. Yeah.
Yeah. That I was assuming that they hadn't seen that many conga players. So I ran down to the shop, bought a set of congas, and then joined the band. So with Fred, they wanted a bass player. So I said, yeah, great bass player. So I bought a bass and joined the band. That was 2003. And then the beginning of Fred was great fun. We went, as soon as I joined them, we went off on a tour of Italy and France. And then we came back and we played, I think it's Oxygen now, but I think it was called Witness back then.
Yeah, so Witness. Yeah, I think so. You're right. Yeah.
Came back and played that. And then we were just kind of messing around there for 5 years, having fun. We all had jobs. So I was in.
But as you said, sorry for interrupting you, Jamin, they had an album out at that stage
They had one album out, yeah.
by the time you joined them.
Yeah, they had put out this album that was a collection of songs like from when Jamie had this teenage band, and also songs that they had written as this new group of 6 members.
Who was writing that stuff at the time?
I wasn't actually in the band, so I presumed I think it was Jamie had written a lot of the stuff, and then I'm sure that they collaborated and wrote. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Because with Fred, everything was always all songs written by Fred, no matter who wrote it.
Right. Okay.
So
Fair
you
enough.
could come into the studio and written every single note of the song and every lyric, but it would have been by Fred. Because I suppose there was more in the band than just writing the songs. There was just loads of other kind of work behind the scenes. So everyone kind of got credit then for the music, because the music was the thing that would pay.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You would think, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, even though it didn't pay a whole lot, it was still the product. So yeah, they had written one album, and when I joined, they were halfway through the second album.
Okay.
So they had kind of written most of this. They had the bones of all these songs written, and then the bass player decided he was leaving. So I kind of joined the band halfway through the recording process. So I just joined in on the recording. So I ended up playing bass in some songs, doing loads of backing vocals on songs. And I started to get to write some pieces for the songs, some music lines and the odd bits of lyrics.
And how was that like for people now who don't go through the process of that? I mean, it's not just simply like writing. That creative situation, that creative thing you do with that, does it come naturally, or do you really have to work at it?
It was funny, actually. I mean, because I just joined into the group, I just came from a position of I like music, I like playing music, I like making up music, and now I was just in a group who were doing that. So it didn't seem like any effort. And also because I had joined that band really without knowing any of that stuff.
Right.
So there was no pressure. It was just pretty much having fun. And thinking, okay, this song needs a guitar solo. So it was great fun to make up a guitar solo. It was great fun to try and write lyrics, or to make up a bass line was fun. It didn't seem like pressure. It probably would have felt like pressure if there was expectation, or if, I thought I had to create a masterpiece. But at the time it was just like, oh, okay, this is great. And I ended up learning a lot when I joined the band at that stage, because I would have come from a place where I could play the guitar, I could write pieces for a simple song, and now I was in a group where there was brass sections, harmonies, all these other parts to songs. So I ended up learning a lot, and I got to sit in, when the producer was there producing and recording, just got to sit and watch him.
Yeah.
So it was a great learning experience to be able to do that.
And the process of completing the second album, the time frame, did that take long to do?
It took. Yeah, it did. Now, it took a long time because we all had jobs or we were studying. And
right.
We all lived in Cork, so I had moved to Cork, so
You couldn't move to a better place, let me add.
Rebel County, the county in my heart. Well, I loved Cork. It was brilliant, actually. I really liked it down there. And but we used to travel down to Killarney once a month or once every 2 weeks to kind of work on this album, because that's where the studio was.
Right.
And there was no pressure for us to finish it. We weren't signed to any record label. We didn't have any management. So we were just taking our time. So it did take a long time, but only because that's the way we wanted to do it.
Right. It was a natural, organic thing between jobs, between gigs, and etc.
Exactly.
And then when it came out, when did it eventually come out?
This is the second album. I think it was 2005.
Right. Okay, it's all right.
So I joined in 2000.
You know something, Jim? What struck me? You had one album out, or the band had, and then there was a second one out. How difficult is it to get what we call airplays? And how important is that again in a small market like Ireland? It is important to get noticed for gigs and bookings, etc.
Oh, majorly. Like, so for the second album with Fred, we didn't really have much airplay. Like, it wasn't even on our minds to get airplay. Like,
Right.
because then Fred was very much a gigging band. Like, they had a following, but all through gigging locally.
Yeah.
That's, and they had started doing colleges and university gigs, so they got a big following from that. They had a very energetic show. They had a very energetic frontman. So it was very grassroots. People liked Fred because they saw them at a gig, not because they heard them on the radio.
Right. Okay.
So with that second album, we might have had some radio play, but it wasn't. I don't think it was even on our minds really.
Yeah. Right.
And
So you sold that through the usual outlets at gigs and whatever.
yeah, that's exactly it. We would have sold. We would have made the album, got some T-shirts printed a load of CDs, and sold all those things at our gigs. And we would have had them in some indie record shops around the country.
Right.
That's what that album was, yeah.
Yeah. And so how busy did you become then? How busy did the band become? Did you increase the I suppose the number of gigs you took? Or did you consider going full time?
Well, with that album, we were still all pretty much part time. Like we all had jobs. I went back to do like a postgrad around that time, in education. So I went back like to learn how to become a teacher.
All right.
The drummer he was doing programming. He was studying programming, and the other lads then had jobs.
Right.
So it wasn't until after the third album that we took it more seriously.
And how did that come about, the third album?
So the third album was when we were making the second album, we would go, like, we spent so much time going down, like, we'd finish a song and then we think, oh, should we add an extra, like, triangle or whatever? So we might go back down to the studio and pay another full day in the studio. And it ended up costing a lot of money. Well, I thought anyway. So the third album, I just thought surely we could do it ourselves to a degree. So between the second and third albums, so the third album was Go God Go. I think I had a job at the time, like it was with a media company or something, but it was like a very part-timey kind of job. And I thought, with the money from that job, I'm going to buy what they call a laptop. Because that was 2006, I think.
All right.
2007.
An Apple?
No, it wasn't an Apple. It was just it's the type of laptop now that would probably cost £200, but back then it was like probably the leading technology, and it cost £1,200.
Ooh, yeah, I remember when that price.
It was so much money for like such little, RAM and all that stuff. So I bought that, got a load of software off a friend of mine in Nottingham.
Oh, that's a help. That's a help.
Oh, perfect. So sent me all these like samples. Another friend of mine gave me kind of other software, and we just kind of sat down and got the basics of how to record music. So we sat down in my crummy apartment in Cork, and Jamie would call over, and he had written this song called Good One. So we just sat down and started to record the basic structure of this song, Good One. We recorded the drums in the drummer's garage. They sounded terrible, but we started to figure out like how to record stuff that isn't studio quality, but how to mix it so it sounds studio quality, how to drop samples on top of it. So we just basically experimented with recording something ourselves in our own homes. And I can't even remember how we did it now. I think we had a manager at this stage, but we ended up sending it to, I think it was Ryan Tuberty, and he loved the song, so he started to play it. So then we were basically introduced to the idea that we could produce music,
right,
own homes, and then the radio would play it.
Okay,
that was it. It was like it was like something that you'd see in a silly movie where everything just works out.
Yeah.
No, they record it in their garage, and then the radio guy plays it, and everything works.
And did you find? I remember John Creedon played it a lot on his show.
John Creedon then became a big support. Yeah, or didn't he? I think he was always a supporter of the band.
He was,
He was
but
from Cork,
yeah,
and we were from Cork, and the music was polished enough to be on the radio, I think. So
yeah.
yeah, John Creedon became a big supporter, and he would always play all of our stuff.
He would, yeah, he would. I mean, that's where I heard. I don't know what track it was one night because I tune into him now and again. When you be around, drive, especially. That's when I heard one of the tracks from Go God Go album on
Yeah.
John Creedon show. Yeah, so funny how things happen. And did that increase your popularity? Of course, I think more people took notice of the band, than the music. Then did they?
Oh, majorly, yeah, yeah. Like we had a we had a following for the second album, but then when we started to get more and more radio play nationally, of course the following got much bigger, and just that you're on the radio every day and people hear the name, they hear the music.
They do, and
You get
getting
more.
bookings for gigs was it becoming more? Had you a manager at this stage, or did you do it yourself?
No, we had a manager at this stage, so
All right.
yeah, we had. I think between albums we had gotten a manager. But
More
we were
money.
all more money,
Yeah.
a little bit, a
No,
tiny bit.
more money to pay the manager, I'd say.
Well, I mean, the manager came along when we didn't have any money really, and she kind of, she had a good attitude, or she was very nice basically, and she said, "Look, if you do get money, then, we can just do the management kind of 20% type thing,
All
or
right.
whatever, 5%, 50, whatever percent that we had agreed."
Right. Okay.
Up
That was
until that
fair.
point, yeah, yeah. So she was great. Like up until that point, then she was happy to like work on behalf of the band for nothing much, because we were all working for nothing pretty much at that stage. Um, but yeah, the more radio play we got, the more gigs we'd get, and it just kind of rolled that way. But with Go God Go, like as I said, we did this one song in the bedroom. Then we decided that worked. So then we went ahead and did all of these songs in the bedroom, and we recorded a whole album in the bedroom pretty much. Um, but to make it sound like studio quality, when all those songs were recorded, we sent it over to London. Our manager found this mixer in London called Mark Wallace, and I remember like I went over to him in Crystal Palace and stayed there for a week.
All
So
right.
he'd be mixing all the tracks and asking like, "Do you like this? Do you like that? Do you not like this?" But the guy was brilliant. So whatever he did, it was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." Because when like we would send him what sounded like a bedroom recording, and he would basically send it back, making it sound like a big, massive, polished pop song.
And obviously, he worked his magic. That's his job. But it did make a huge difference to the album. Obviously, goes without saying.
Yeah, yeah, because I think if you heard kind of the before he mixed it and after he mixed it, like there's an art to mixing music basically, and he was able to draw out all the parts that were meant to be drawn out.
Right.
On this song, we want the vocals to sound like this, and we want the drums to sound like this, and he'd be able to do it.
Okay. Okay. And so you saw yourself, Jim, and all the processes involved, and
Yeah.
all the steps and all the other stuff involved. Now, how did Fred finish up?
Fred finished up. So for the third album, he had Go God Go. Got
Yeah.
lots of video play. Very exciting. Got to tour around quite a bit. On the back of that, we got to go to the States quite a bit and Canada. When we were over there, we met other record companies and publishing companies and ended up signing deals with those guys. And then then that kind of third album had run its course, and it was time for the fourth album. So for the fourth album, we decided we want to go and record it in Montreal. And
That's a big step.
oh, it was great. Like, we knew it would cost a lot of money, but we thought, sure, we'll make the money back.
Okay.
And we wanted to go and record it in this studio where Arcade, there was this band Arcade Fire. We all really liked them.
Oh yeah,
So
Arcade Fire, yeah. So, nice.
they were great. So we found the guy who produced their first album. He produced our fourth album in his studio. So that was a great month. Great to
We're
hang out
talking
there
about in the five figures.
to do that album. Oh, I can never work out the five. I don't know how much it costs to do the actual album, because like I remember the final bill was definitely five figures,
Yeah.
but that would have included like, you know, hiring the producer, hiring the studio,
Yeah. The whole package.
the whole thing, flying over there, flying home, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And did the whole band go over?
yeah, we all went over. It was great.
And what
Was,
do you think of Montreal?
oh, I loved Montreal.
Yeah.
Like it was the section, the place where we did the album was like super hip and like just so trendy and cool and all that stuff. So like it didn't fully fit in with that, but it was just this area that was like that. And then if you left that area, you could go downtown with all these skyscrapers.
Right.
It was a different vibe again.
Yes.
But I loved it there. You know, I ended up like kind of going out and meeting people and making friends there, and just had a great
Right.
month basically. And recording in the studio was fantastic.
And how long did that process take then to finish and get the fourth album out, so to speak?
The recording took a month. Then we came back, and then again I went to London with the guitar player, and we sat down with this other kind of famous producer, and he mixed the album. So that, I think we did that like over a week, and then we came back. So I mean, the whole thing might have taken like, well, realistically, including writing all the songs, probably a year and a half, because you have to write all the songs, and then, you know, writing a song as an individual takes a certain amount of time, but writing a song with five people takes a lot more time.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'd say a year and a half for the whole process, between a year and a half and 2 years, I'd say.
Oh,
Um,
it's a long time.
yeah, so it takes quite a long time, and the
And
band,
were you getting much work in between?
like it's funny. I mean, with the band, we all still had part-time things on the side, even though
When
like
did
we would have
the
given
group itself then come to an end? Was it sudden, or was it a gradual thing, or how did it come about?
yeah, it was a gradual thing. So we had done the four albums, and I think we were all kind of in our early 30s, and we were we it just had kind of wound down to a natural conclusion, really.
Right.
So like we had finished the fourth album, you know, we had written it, recorded it, produced it, released it, done that whole process, and I think after we were kind of done with that, we felt, do we want to do that again? And I think we were like, we all, I mean, we're all still friends,
Good.
but we didn't want, there wasn't energy to do it again, all of us together. I think people wanted to get on with their own things, live their own lives, and not be kind
All
of
right.
tied into
Yeah.
that lifestyle, you know.
It came to almost what you could say a natural end,
Yeah, it was totally
more or
natural,
less.
completely
Now,
natural. Yeah.
this is lairmedia.tv, and the program is Room 52, and my special guest today is Jamin O'Donovan. Now, coming on to yourself, Jamin, you're headlong in going back into where you where you had been a while ago. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Um, well, first of all, Pat, is I like music. Like I love music.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, when I had joined Fred initially, I loved music, and then I kept loving it. But by the end of Fred, I think I was sick of music because of all the things that go along with it.
Not the music itself, but the daily slog.
Yeah, just all the daily stuff of it. So I think like, I kind of wanted a break from music at the end of that, like, and
Right.
I was kind of tired of it. And then,
Would you say you were burned out a bit creatively as well?
yeah,
Music.
along those lines, yeah, yeah, um, yeah, along those lines, because as well, like in a group, it's quite different. Like you have an idea, you offer it to the group, it gets changed back and forth quite a bit. So that process takes a lot of energy. So, and then like trying to promote stuff and play it all the time, like yeah, kind of got tired of that. But I always still loved music, and I had always bits and pieces of music lying around, like either on my computer or in my mind. And then, like when I moved to London, I think I would have worked. I think I was working for 2 years with no creative outlet. So just, you know, up early in the morning in the rat race in London, like on that treadmill, up at 6 in the morning, at work by 8.
What part of London are you in?
I live up in North London.
I don't know.
But, there's like long days of like,
Up around Shepherd's Bush, Harlesden, Willesden, all that type of place.
North London, like it's just up past Camden, basically, up around there.
All right.
Yeah. So I think I had 2 years of kind of no creative stuff, and I kind of felt, I'm kind of missing the creative outlets. So then I started doing like a bit of acting, and then kind of gave my energy to that for a year or two, and then decided, I'd love to give my energy now to like writing more music. So that was it. So I had a friend of mine who's a producer over there called John Sampson, or CJ Mira is his artist name.
Right.
And that was it. I just rang him up, got in touch with him, said, look, here's a load of demos I've kind of made in my bedroom. And he said, great, let's make an album. And it was pretty much as simple as that.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so like,
No.
I got all these songs to like demo standard at home, sent them over to him. He listened to them, kind of I refined them a little bit more. Then I sent them to a drummer. He learned all the drum parts. We took a day, went and recorded all these drum parts for songs, and then that was it. Then I started to record all the music on top of those drums and all the lyrics. And so I spent, I think, maybe 6 months doing that.
Who did all the music on it?
So the way it works, like we hired a drummer to do the drums.
Right.
But everything else, like the keyboards, the synths, bass, guitars, like I would have done all that stuff. And then I think for 2 or 3 songs, I had written violin parts, but I can't play the violin, so we hired in a violin player.
Right.
And that was it. So like, yeah, between myself and the producer, we managed to layer up all of the instruments, except the drums and the violins.
And that album, what's the title of the album for our viewers and listeners?
So the album isn't out yet, but it's going to be called Adventurer Wild. It's on your green screen there.
Oh. Technically speaking, lads, that's behind me.
Yeah.
But Adventure Wild, where did that come from?
Well, there's this program online called WuTang Clang Name Generator. So, it's this website that you can go on, and it like, it'll ask you questions like, what's your first name? What's your mother's fourth name? What was your third dog's name? Whatever. It asks you all these random questions.
Okay.
About you. You put all the answers in, and then it will spit back out, a name. It's like, this is your whatever. This is your nickname or your band name.
Okay.
So that's where
I get it. And how many tracks are on this album now?
So it's a mini album, so it's got 7 tracks on it.
Right. And when did you say it's coming out, the launch?
Well, I put out the first single last week.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is
I have that, yeah.
Every month I'll put up a single for maybe 3 months. So I'll put the first single out, a second one, and a third one. And then on the 4th month, I'll just put up all the tracks as the album, put it up online.
Right. And it'll be available online and the usual. But I've spoken to quite a few artists not in the program about these. Now, obviously, I wouldn't know anything about this, not being involved in the music business the way you are. But is there any real money to be made on Spotify and all those things?
No, there's no money to be made on Spotify. I think I was looking at all the figures there. Like for Spotify, if you have 1 million, if your song is listened to 1 million times, you can make $4,000. So it's about $4,000 per million plays.
That's zero, really.
Yeah, it's nothing, because the amount of work you'd do to get 1 million plays, like it would cost you more than $4,000 to do that work. But there's other sites, like Bandcamp is a great website.
Yeah, I saw that at Bandcamp, and I know there are 2 or 3 more artists here in Limerick. I'm sure you know them. They use Bandcamp as well.
Yeah, Bandcamp is great, like, because with Bandcamp, the people who are on Bandcamp are music fans, and I think the general feeling is that they want to support the artist. So they all, like, on Bandcamp, you can stream the music, you can listen to it, but then you can buy it. So people often buy, the song for €1 or £1 or $1 or whatever currency they're in.
And how do you go? How do you go about, Jamie, protecting your creative output?
How do you mean? Like, how do I?
Like that song you have out. What's the name of the track you put up?
Invitation.
Invitation. Yeah, sorry, I got in my head. Invitation. I'll take that now and use it for my next documentary.
Oh, how do you protect it that way? Like,
Yeah.
well, it's funny. Like, you can. So even to get your music up on Spotify or up on, there's loads of those sites: Amazon, Google, Spotify, Deezer.
Yeah.
There's 30 of them. So to get on those things, you have to go through a digital distribution company. So there's loads of digital distribution companies. There's loads of them, and what they do. So like if I sign up with a digital distribution company called
BMI is a big one over in England, and they operate in Ireland as well.
BMI, they're like a royalty collection agency, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the digital distribution guys are like CD Baby or TuneCore, and what they do basically, you send your music to them, and then they'll send it to Spotify and Deezer and Amazon. And if you decide to start using my music for your documentaries,
yeah,
those digital distribution companies will see that song has been used online, and they'll get in touch with you to say, "Oh, you have to pay for that." So that I think that's how it's kind of protected. Like,
yeah.
but
So
even
obviously, I mean, you don't know a track could be picked up for a television series. You know.
Oh, if it did, that would be great.
No, but I'm just saying, and so that's how you protect it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, in 4 months' time, when you come back to do a solo gig in the Opera House in Cork, will we have a front row seat or anything like that?
No, I know the guy who does all the promotion at the Opera House in Cork, and he's a lovely man. So I've sent him the CD, and I just told him, look, you know, he hadn't heard it when I sent him, obviously, but I sent him a note like, 4 months from now, front row, obviously my parents will come, and yourself, 3 seats reserved.
What about no time like the present, to see, jokingly speaking? The sport, God, you couldn't have him as a sport act, could you? We can't mention his name now.
He could. I mean, if I was a crooked musician, I could get him to buy his way onto the support.
Okay, so Jamin, you're working away at that. You have the album completed.
All done, yeah.
Are you gigging as well in London?
No, sure. I mean, with coronavirus town, like there's nothing. There's no gigs.
Obviously not now. No one will hear you behind the mask.
Yeah, well, unless that became part of the show. No, but there's no gigs for now, and no one has any idea when they'll start up. And like even like the last day before shutdown is the day when was my last day in the studio. So we basically finished recording all these songs the day before shutdown happened. So like I hadn't even put a band together.
Right.
And
are you thinking? Is that a possibility?
Oh yeah, if they start to announce that places will open up and gigs can happen again, then yeah, I'll put a band together as soon as.
Would there be any phone calls to some old acquaintances?
Well, that would be brilliant, but unfortunately, we all live in different countries now. So I'd say, rehearsals it would cost a lot of money just to fly us all together to rehearse.
So obviously, because of the situation with the virus and all that in London as well as here, that is out for the time being. Will you keep yourself busy in the music? I presume there's another album up there in laptop already.
100%, yeah. Always just like putting bits and pieces of ideas together, and yeah, like I mean, with this recorded this album, it was like getting back up on the horse again. Like it had been so long since I'd kind of even fully completed a song, all the different musical parts, all the instrumentation, all the lyrics, all that stuff. So, you know, getting back up and doing this took quite a while. So like even now, like I'm putting pieces of ideas, songs together. So the next process will be probably
But
a
you're
bit.
lucky in that. I mean, you have a sister living in London,
Oh yeah, I have some family there. My sister's there.
so that's I suppose that's a good thing, really. You know.
Oh, it's great to have, great to have
Yeah.
family in London, because London, yeah, it's a big place.
Oh,
Nice to have
no,
family there, yeah.
long time service there. But so you're going to pursue that anyway and stay with it. Jamin, we're absolutely delighted to have you as a guest on this show. And anytime you have anything coming up, just drop us a note or an email, and we'd be too happy to publicize it. Invitation is the track that's up, lads, and all trendy media platforms. And we'll give a link to this from our show tonight, and we'll put it up as well. But Jamin, from this edition of Room 52 on learnmedia.tv, it's been a blast having you. Fantastic. And we wish you all the very best in the future.
Yeah, thanks a million for having me on. It was great.
Thank you, Jamin.
Cheers, Pat.
Bye. God bless.
All the best.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I didn't close down the recording because you'll be gone. But
Yeah. No, yeah, we're off now, yeah.
yeah, we're off now. But I'll give you a copy of this, and then we'll keep it up on YouTube and all our Facebook pages as well. Anyway.
Thanks, Pat. My mother was saying it's your son's birthday today, yeah?
Oh, Mark's.
Is it? Good thing I didn't say that when we were live.
Oh, the 20th. Oh my God, I thought it was the 19th. I thought today was the 19th. I mean, I'll give him a ring. He's over in Berlin.
Yeah, I mean, I bumped into him. I was at a wedding with him there, like it was the end of last year, and he was in Berlin. He seemed to love Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep in touch regularly with him, believe it or not. I do, like. I just, the dates.
Well, because when I was in the other room, or I was chatting to my dad, and I was chatting to my mom, and I was telling her I was going to be chatting to you, and she said, "Oh, make sure now you say it's his son's birthday today. Make sure you say happy birthday."
I'll give him a ring later.
Give him a call.
Thanks for him, and
Yeah.
say a big thank you.